Hey Tekken players, hope you're doing well. So this video we're going to cover the subject of how to do instant while running in Tekken 8. Now in many ways actually doing quote unquote instant while running moves in this game is a lot easier than it used to be. However, for those who want to know the old school legacy technique which gives you the fastest version of instant while running plus extra damage and blue sparks that we'll talk about later, then I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to attempt to do this. I've had a bit of a warm up. I'm going to attempt to see how many instant while running 2s I can do with Dragunov in a row. Now again, in theory, if we do this as fast as possible, then we should get the blue sparks. It might just take me a little while just to warm up. Like I said, this is much more of a timing issue than necessarily being quick. So let's see if we can land this. Okay, so we've got a fair few there. Like I said, that's a live recording. I've not edited that. I've left it exactly how it is. So you can see amongst those, and you know, we got some blue sparks as well as some point blank while running 2s. So as you can tell, I'm doing this on a leverless controller. This is my haute 42. I'm going to be doing a full review on it on the channel in the very near future. Be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. The reason why I'm doing this on leverless is because you can do this on pad. I can do this on pad, but because I'm recording live and I want to show you, then this is just more reliable. It's just a more reliable controller when you're trying to do these really fast, as you see, really fast, really fast instant while running. So that's why. But as I say, you can do this on a pad. It's exactly the same method. I'm just going to show you how to do it on this because it's just a bit more consistent. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all of the absolute details and all of the really sort of nerdy frames. Now I'm going to leave a link in the description below which explains if you really want to know the absolute detail of what, you know, how many frames are allowed and all the rest of it. You can go and read up on that. I'm going to basically use some fundamental rules which shows how to do this. And as you can see, although I dropped a few, you can see I can do this fairly consistently for, you know, for a live recording. So let's first of all talk about why we want to do a true instant while running, because as I alluded to, it's actually incredibly easy to do so-called instant while running moves now in Tekken, because you can just do this. See? And they'll just work. All you have to do is go into the running stance and then press the move you want. And in Tekken 8 you can just do running stance from point blank. Okay? So it begs the question, well, why would we want to do it the, you know, quote unquote the proper way? And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, as I kind of showed you, this is the same for King's Shining Wizard. When you do that properly with the instant while running commands, you get a little bit more damage with Dragunov, and you get the blue sparks. It kind of shows you that you've done it properly, like that. So that gives more damage on hit. It also comes out, I mean, it sounds obvious, but it will come out faster, and that's quite important when you're sort of, if you're trying to pressure your opponent, if you're sort of jab checking, and you want to chuck in a like that point blank. If you're doing this, you're gonna get counter hit before your or just hit normally before your move comes out. So it's to keep it as tight as possible. So those are your reasons, basically. Get the move out as fast as possible, and in some cases you'll get more damage. And to be honest, let's just be blunt, it just looks cool, and it's a way to sort of show, look at me, I'm a proper Tekken player. I can do blue sparks. Now whether that's worth it, I'll let you decide, but that's just one of the plus points. Okay, so let's talk about the kind of fundamental rules of what you have to do in order to land this. Apologies, I'm still not quite used to knowing where the there we go. This is very new in review, so I'm still trying to work out exactly where the different buttons are on the top, but anyway. So yeah, let's talk about the fundamental rules without going into too much a lot of really nerdy detail, although like I say, if you want to read about that, links in the description below. So the categorical rule is, in order to get this while running and to be instant, first of all, sounds obvious, but it has to be 1, 2, 3. There has to be 3 forwards before you hit the 2 in Dragunov's case, or if it was King, it would be, you know, 2 plus 4, whatever. So sounds obvious, but we'll get to it in a minute, there has to be at least 1, 2, 3 forwards. Okay. And the second thing, and this is if you want to do this as literally as fast as possible. Now I have to make a correction, because in Tekken 7 I was under the impression that you have to basically land the final forward and the button on the same frame. It's not true. It's actually, you have to do it one frame after. So that's the 60th of a second for those, you know, keeping up. So in effect, it's almost as if hitting the last forward and the buttons on the same frame, but it's not. It's one frame delay. So that's the long and short of it. Got to do 3 forwards, and that last 2 has to be basically a frame after. Okay, that's how you get it as fast as possible. So there's now, although I said that, you know, in theory that's it, off you go, have fun, but there are some rules within that, and they do sort of vary, specifically for Dragunov's Blue Spark version, for example. Again, this is going by research that I've read. I've not tested it myself, but I'm assuming it's true. The rule to get the blue sparks for that is the final 2 forwards and the 2 button, they must land within 7 frames of each other. So you basically, that gives you an idea of just how fast you've got to do it. But actually the first forward is a bit more lenient. So that's just for a little, you know, that's just for reference, but it gives you an idea of kind of how tight we're talking. So anyway, so there's 3 different ways you can do this. The first sort is you just literally, and this would be the fastest way of doing it, is you would do 1 forward, then have like literally almost like 1 frame neutral, another 1 frame neutral, another 1 frame neutral, 2. Okay, and that will get you, that is literally the fastest way possible to do an instant while running move. Now I don't do this one, I can't do it. It's just, it's even with having a leverless like this, it's just beyond my skills that I just can't do it faster. But I'll attempt to show you just in case. So as I say, so what we have to do is just do 3 forwards as fast as possible, with a little gap in between, and do a final. So it should be something a bit like this. See, I'm not going to be able to land it because I just can't. Okay, so that final one, if you have a look at my command history, so that was 1 forward, and then if you look, I actually had a whole 5 frames of, you know, you could go make a sandwich in that gap, 5 frames in between, and then another forward. And then as you see there, the key thing is that it's the next forward and 2 is you know, is within a frame of each other. But this gets the important bit. So that's in theory one way you can do it. If you can do it that way, brilliant, but it's not the way for me. It's too difficult. So there's 2 alternatives, and again, same principle. Got to get in 3 forwards, and you've got to get the final 2, and you know, to be 1 frame after. Okay, now you can either basically either do 1 forward and then a fair few sort of, you know, a few frames of neutral, then do 2 really fast forwards, so almost no, you know, when we say neutral, by definition there's always going to be a little bit of a gap because the button has to come up, or you know, but we're talking like as small as possible. So 1 forward, bit of neutral, then 1, 2, then the 2 button. Okay, and again, I was trying to sort of demonstrate this, but appreciate I am doing this live, but this is what it looks like. So it's basically, it's, if you think of it as a rhythm, it kind of goes 1 and 2 3, 1 and 2 3, a bit like that. So let's see if we can do this. You see? So it's kind of like, it's doing the first one, then I'm lifting my finger up a bit higher, then go really, really fast. So that's kind of, see, that's kind of the rhythm of it. So it's kind of what? So it's like 1 and 1 2, 1 and 1 2, only a lot faster. Bit like that. So that's the first way. The second way is exactly the same principle, except you're doing it the other way around. So what you have to do is you have to do 2 really fast forward inputs, like with hardly, like basically no neutral in between, fast as possible, like that. Then you can take a little bit of a break, and then do the final forward, and then 2 straight after. So if you were thinking in rhythm this way, this would be like, this would go 1 2 and 3, 1 2 and 3. You see what I mean? Where and is like your small gap. So that kind of let me just reset it. Again, apologies. There we go. So if you do it that way, it kind of looks a bit like this. So it's, remember, get it in your head. 1 2 and 3. So 1 gap, 2 and 3. So it looks like this. Now this one I'm not so good at, as you can probably tell. So just bear with me 1 second. Now as you can see, this one is not my preferred method. You can see why I'm struggling at it. Because I find it easier to do sort of, my head is like one gap like that. I just find that simpler than trying to do the first two as fast as possible. There we go, that was one at the end. So that's not my preferred method. I say I prefer to do the first one because I kind of just, there's something, I can give myself a little bit more mental sort of, you know, timing to sort of go 1, up, 1, 2, like that. And something you will find is it's quite hard, as you can see, because I'm messing it up now. It's resetting. It's quite hard, at least for me, to kind of go from one rhythm to the other. So I suggest you go with which one you feel is better and then just stick at it. As you see, because I'm now trying to like switch the timings, it feels really weird. It's like it's the best way I can describe this is kind of similar to an electric. It's not necessarily about doing it as fast as possible. It's about a rhythm. It's getting that timing, because what is, as I keep saying, what is crucial is that final 2 being almost a just frame, with it, you know, being on the same one but it's one after, if that makes sense. So a lot of this comes down to just getting the rhythm. There we go, there we go. You see, it's kind of like, and once you get the rhythm back, which I've now done because I've got it back in my head now, it will come back to you. So you can see there on those ones, you see that the biggest neutral, quote unquote neutral, we're talking pretty insignificant. I believe it's what, 5 frames on there, is basically after the first forward. So that's the one I prefer to go for, but you got to just try it out and see what works for you. So the way to practice this is, it's kind of, I've given it away, it's pretty easy. Basically just set your dummy to block and then just see how many times you can do this. It doesn't necessarily mean that you do this with Dragunov. I'm not a Dragunov main. I don't even have Dragunov as a secondary. However, you know, I'm using Dragunov as an example because it's very obvious to see if it's like this. That may look like point blank, but it wasn't, because lost the rhythm now. There we go. So I'm not a Dragunov main, but it's like when you know you've done it as fast as possible because you get those blue sparks. And it's the same with King. Like I said, if you can land the blue spark shiny wizard, then that works. This is also quite important for doing the max damage combos if you're a Paul main, because with Paul, if you're not using heat or anything like that, usually the max damage combo is the post bound run up 2 jab and then do an instant while running 2. So again, this is kind of important to learn that. But there, that's it in a nutshell. So just to summarize, to go through the key important points that you have to remember, there has to be 3 forwards before pressing whatever button it is for your while running. So in this case, Dragunov, it's a 2. If it was King, it would be 2 + 4. So 3 forwards. Secondly, the final, whatever it is your button pressing, in my case it's the 2 button, that final one has to be ideally within a frame of the final forward to keep it as tight as possible. So you're literally, almost as soon as you press that final forward, that's when you're pressing the 2. But it's not on the same frame. There has to be 3 separate distinct inputs. It's just, if you can do it like 1 frame after, then you've landed it. And in terms of how you do it, you can either just go 1, 2, 3 as fast as possible. If if you're that way inclined and you've got the skills, then go for it. Or what I think is slightly easier, and I think most people, when they do tutorials on the subject, go for, is you either go for the rhythm based, you know, press 1 forward, have a small gap, then do 2 fast forwards, or the other way around, do two lots of fast forwards, take a break, and then 1, and then there you are. By the way, I will put all these up on the screen, so in terms of input, so it makes a bit more sense, because I appreciate when you're saying 2 fast forwards, it gets a bit confusing. So anyway, and if you just practice that, then yep, you should be able to you should be able to get it pretty consistently. And yeah, if you use leverless or if you use it on or a keyboard, this will be easier. It's just physics that you can do your finger like that much faster than trying to do your thumb on a pad. But you can do it on pad, and like I say, I play King on pad 99% of the time, and I can still land it, not necessarily 99% of the time. But anyway, hope that's helped you guys. Let me know any thoughts, comments, feedback, etc. And if this has helped you, or it's helped you practice your instant while running, then please hit the like button. It really helps me out. It pushes the video out to other Tekken players, and you know, we can all grow and learn together. So thanks guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.